Hello, everybody. For Chapter 9, I'm going to start with Question 2, which is how do models of group development and team performance help you better understand groups and group dynamics? So I think that these models are useful for the fact that they actually explain that there's a difference between a group and a team. On page 261, there's a table which shows the differences between teams and groups. A group has more individualistic properties where every person is accountable for their work. The focus is to share information and you have an emphasis on individual goals. A team has an emphasis on team goals, or the team as a whole. You're accountable for your own work and for everyone else's work on the team. And the outcome is on the entire team contribution rather than on individual contribution. I don't know the exact wording or metaphor, but the saying, I couldn't think of this earlier, but it's something along the lines of like you rise as a team, you fall as a team, or like you rise as one, fall as one. I don't know if I just made that up. I don't think I did. There's something about that I feel like I've heard before, but I cannot just right now think of it. I will later, though, ironically. But information like this would have been useful to have, in the past during stuff like that. Well, not stuff like this, but other school projects or other things that I've worked on with teammates or groups. The next one is discuss the importance or the impact of various group roles in the chapter. So starting on page 276 and going pretty much until the end of chapter 9, you find the different types of group roles. There are group task roles, group building and maintenance roles, and self-centered roles. At one point in time or another, and from multiple different people's perspectives, I have, probably been a majority of these roles growing up in life. I don't mind, being a recorder. Not my first choice, but it's not something I mind doing. If I got to do it, I got to do it. I like to be a team player. But I have been an information and an opinion giver, an encourager, a gatekeeper, an observer, a commenter. At times I'm a follower if someone else takes kind of that group leader role, because I think it's good to be able to play a little bit of different varieties. It's be a little bit of everything and be the best team player or group player that you can be. So I would say personally, I feel like I tend to do pretty good in groups. I always try to do my part and make sure that if we agree on a time frame, it's done either at that time or before that time. Have good communication throughout. I think those things are important. During team meetings at work, or sometimes in the breakout groups in like a class like this, I do try to throw out thoughts and ideas. I try to make sure that everyone gets a chance to talk and at least throw their idea out. I try not to interrupt others if they're already talking, just as I wouldn't want someone to talk over me when I'm trying to say something. Things like if no one has started the conversation and we just need to say something to get the ball rolling, even if it's just something small and simple, I don't mind doing that, just to kind of be like, hey, what's up, everyone? How's everyone doing? Great. Here's the first thing we're supposed to talk about. Let's get the ball rolling. Let's get into it. I just think that it's if someone else hasn't done that, it's something that needs to happen by somebody at some point. So why not me? Why not why not you? Why not whoever? I don't really see myself in really any of the self-centered roles, but I actually am curious what you guys think. I've actually had multiple classes with some of you. I've had, others of you have only known me for the couple weeks we've been in this class. Just based off of your experiences of working with me, I'm actually curious what you guys think applies to me and where I actually fit on these roles. And if, I have shown any of the self-centered roles, I'm curious which one applies to me and, why you guys think that is. And then if there is something like that, I guess how I could improve myself, from that point on, because everyone, I would say, has flaws, and I definitely don't want to be that guy on the team, I guess. So, if I do something like that, call me out. Tell me how I can fix it. On page 287, there's a good model that shows how employee recruitment goes. This is for the next chapter. It starts with recruitment objectives. This is like the position you're trying to fill and what kind of applicant you're looking for. What do you want? This is, I would say, in a way like working for a company and deciding, do you need to hire someone? Next would be the recruitment strategy. In my own steps, this is like going to what I would say like the equivalent of like Indeed.com, or at a job site and looking for what's available. Each job has different requirements, and you basically apply for what you would qualify for. As an organization, you might even put a message out about like what you want your potential applicants to see, or maybe like your candidates to see, like kind of like something that you might understand about your company culture, that you want them to understand about your company culture. Um, and then for recruitment activities, that would be like the looking for the potential candidates at a job fair, or if you post an ad. Just that's all I really got for it. Kind of just goes. Applicant interview would be next, which begs the questions of who's going to be doing the interviews. Is it going to be a person? Is it going to be a group? And then recruitment results, which is after an interview, you discuss, was the applicant good enough to fill the spot? Do they qualify? Are they the right fit? And then from that point on as well, you still want to analyze them out if they do get the job, and in both the short term and long term, and make sure that you have the results you expected and that you still want, and they're performing. So for my personal example, when I got my job at Comcast, I found the ad on Indeed.com, which I'm sure they posted when they were looking for people, as jobs do. I submitted my application, waited a couple days, and I received, I think it was an email first, and then I got a call for a phone interview. When I made it past that stage, I went on to a group interview. Passed my group interview, went on to solo interviews, and the couple of us that actually made it out of that were hired, and then we got initiated into the company first through like an orientation, and then after that we had a 6-week training class or training period that we did, and then after that we were put on the floor by ourselves, but we still had weekly reviews with our managers, and it was just to help kind of fine tune some things overall and just make sure that we were still performing amicably for the company. The next question for chapter, I think put 8, but I think it's supposed to be chapter 10. Chapter 10 is about disengagement. So on page 305, the book starts talking about disengagement. In my experience, I've always had voluntary disengagement, where that's where I'm thinking about separating from the organization and then actually leaving. So the book breaks it down into 4 steps. You have your pre-announcement, your announcement of exit, your actual exit, and then your post-exit. So I think that for the most part, I would say, at least in my situation, I can apply it pretty spot on to what the book has. When I've left my multiple jobs I've done, I essentially started out by looking into the fact of, why do I want to leave? What's going on? Why am I not happy? Why am I not fulfilled with this job? Just kind of asking myself these questions of basically, why am I still here if I don't like it and I want to do something else? And then usually I announce it to my manager or my boss, whoever that is, by turning in a notice of either 2 weeks or a month or however long till I kind of want to be done. And then I'd leave the organization typically after I already had an interview or another job kind of lined up. I didn't ever leave a job that I wasn't like not have something else kind of as a backup or prepared for. Just basically I had something always lined up ready to go. Then for the post-exit, I would sometimes, and then I guess after that I would just leave when I was done with my notice. When I was all done, I was done. And then for the post-exit, I would actually sometimes, I'd wonder how my coworkers were doing, the ones I liked at least. Just kind of curious what they did without me. Wondered if anyone missed me. Not that it's an important thing. From a manager standpoint and not a worker standpoint, though, I would also say that this kind of applies in the same way. You can kind of see when someone is kind of unhappy, when they're kind of squirrely, might be looking to do something different. And then they'll either verbally say that they're leaving, and they'll turn in a notice, or sometimes they just don't show up again and they're done. When they're done showing up, the managers and I decide, is it time do we need to replace them immediately? Were they critical? Do we need to hire someone else? Or are we kind of going into a slow period? Maybe we don't need to hire someone immediately, but we can wait a couple weeks before we don't have to immediately fill that position. And then after that, we kind of just go from there. There's really it essentially follows along the same lines from both a worker standpoint for me and for a manager standpoint from what I've seen. For the case study, I think that from Chapter 10, onboarding pertains. mainly because Dante seems to have a successful orientation period as he's doing a great job. He's meshing with his coworkers. He was able to talk to the vice president and go out to lunch with him and kind of get to know him. And when at the time when he broke up with his girlfriend, the entire team kind of had his back. They were all there for him. He had lots of people who kind of supported him and he could kind of lean on at the time at least. And then in chapter 9, which is my chapter, I think that the work team applies because Dante's trying to fit in with his work team that he was assigned to, which was the creative team. And Dante seems to be a little bit too cocky at times and ends up kind of sounding arrogant, but he's also young and he has an extensive list of qualifications that he had. I also think, or prior to having this job from school, I also think that Dante, or I guess parallel teams applies to him and to this case at the same time, because he had to use another team's research for his first, their research data for his first big project, and he secretly kind of thought it was flawed. The ad only ran for around a month. He wasn't too pleased with it, but you could always tell that he wanted to keep going on to the next thing and kind of wanted his own solo mission. So he didn't at times seem like a team player, even though he was on a team and he could mesh well with everyone. He still had a lot of personal drive. So that's just what I saw. Thanks for watching. Can't wait to see what you guys say.